Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another comic review video, and this time I've got one of my favorite books here, and this one is not too old. Actually, it's I'd say it's pretty new. This is The Underwater Welder from Jeff Lemire. This is such an awesome graphic novel slash comic. There's so many great things I can say about this, but there's so many things that I feel like I can't because I feel like the more you actually talk about this book, or talk about the story of this book, you're giving it away, and if you don't know, I mean, if you haven't read it, it's like I'd be ruining the book for you. There's, like, it's one of those stories where if I tell you anything about it, it starts ruining the story, and you really just have to trust me and say, you've really got to read this book. Now, I know a lot of people aren't just going to take that, well, sure, I assume that this random guy's opinion is going to be enough for me to want to pick up this book that's, you know, 20 bucks, right? But what I'm going to try and do is describe this book in a way that you understand what you're going to be getting out of it, because I really, really recommend it, but I don't want to ruin it, and that's going to be kind of hard. So, first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about Jeff Lemire here, and Lemire, I know he's done work in DC, Vertigo. I was hoping in the back it would tell me like a list of some things he's done. I know he worked on Animal Man. He was writing Animal Man, the New 52 one, which honestly, just really quick, I have read some of it. Not a big fan of it. It's okay. I mean, it's just okay. His heart was clearly in this, not that. If you read both of them, that's just my opinion, because this just destroys anything else I've ever read of his. This is incredible. So, this whole book, and I call it a book because it's not a trade or collected series of issues. This is the whole graphic novel. I say that because, like V for Vendetta or a couple other books, it's divided in chapters, and those chapters, like here's a chapter right here, chapter beginning, and that was after like an itty-bitty prologue, which then I'm pretty sure doesn't show up for way out here. So it's told in a excuse me, told in a way that only a comic can really control the book for how the chapters jump in. But story-wise, man, I really don't want to tell you anything just because it's so great. The introduction to the book, I feel like does a really bad job of talking the book up. Sorry to Damon Lindelof, I can't even say that right. Co-creator guy who did some Lost and Star Trek stuff, it looks like. So he describes it as like the best ever episode of The Twilight Zone, which I really kind of hate it when you have to describe one book as a better version of something else. It's, one, it's kind of insulting to something else, but two, it kind of diminishes this one thing as basically being a little spawn of something else, which it's not. This book is its own thing, and it does awesome at being its own thing. And ignore the introduction. I don't like it. So there's very few books where I, like, literally, I have to make fun of the introduction because it's just absolutely terrible. This one's not terrible, but there's some that I've got that I'll point out later that are just absolutely garbage. So, Underwater Welder, it's just really hard to even write an introduction like that. Like, if I'm going to visually just try and explain a very quick introduction of this book, at least I'll try and describe this main character who is on the cover. His name's Jack. He is an underwater welder. He has a pregnant wife, and she's going to be due in about a month from the beginning of the story. And obviously it's his job to go weld underwater and like fix huge metal pipes and stuff like that. And during the setup of the main story, where we get to know him and his wife, he finds something weird. he finds a pocket watch underwater while he's welding, and weird things start happening to him. And eventually, because I really don't want to spoil anything, because it's just so cool how everything starts intertwining, we started learning about his past, a certain event where his father died. He was also, I don't know if he was an underwater welder or not, but I know he was a diver of some sort, so he might have been a welder as well. But you start learning about this pocket watch, why it's important, and what happened to his father, and each time we get a new bit of information, it's like it changes what we knew before, and then it changes what we thought we knew about something else, and all of a sudden the book is just slowly, like, every little section where we learn something else, things start intertwining and changing. And then eventually, when Jack decides he's going to go back and try and find that watch after something happened the first time, and he had to go back and see a doctor because they tried to save him out of the water, he went unconscious or something. I really don't want to get into too much of physically what happened. I just want to explain how the book is told and why it's so cool, and why I think you should read it without me telling you what happens. Because I know that's really hard for me to describe. So, eventually, when he goes back, like, everything starts going wrong at the same time. As he leaves, and he's been having troubles with his wife, he's been arguing, and she, her water's breaking as he's diving, and he's gone, she can't contact him, and as he finally gets this watch, something really, really crazy happens, and he's like taken to another reality where he has to piece together what happened in his past and come to terms with his father before he can go back into the real world. Kind of. It's not like written in stone that that's what's going on, but that's the idea of the world that he kind of gets taken to. So this is a really interesting book because it's like it has its own reality, and it's just crazy. It's like there's really no words to describe the ideas that get blasted through here, and then when it all comes together in the end, it's just a really great, heartwarming, awesome book, and I can't talk it up enough. This is a book I've been kind of putting off getting for a while. I just happened to snag it and jump on it because I saw it show up at Half Price Books. Again, I love buying stuff there, and it was in great shape. So, like $10 on reading this. Sure, I saw awesome reviews for it online, but all the reviews, like I read Amazon reviews. I go to Amazon because people at least like put star reviews, and then they'll briefly describe the book, and usually they don't give you any spoilers, so it's a pretty great place to read about comics on there. So that's usually what I was doing. So I read on there, and it's getting like perfect vibes, and people are like saying, I don't want to tell you anything about this book, but you need to buy it because it's awesome. And here's me looking at it like, I'm not gonna, who's gonna do that? So, and then now, of course, ironically, here's me making a video saying the exact same thing, but you really need to trust me. Grab this book if you can. This is an awesome comic. It's one of those comics that makes me happy that I'm making books in this medium. It's just brilliant. It really is brilliant. And I'll just flip through here really quickly just so you get an idea of some of the art. Jeff Lemire is doing his own art in here, and he's got a really interesting style that really fits the book. At first it looks kind of messy, and it is, but it's just great for the story. I don't know why. I really like his messy, if that makes sense. There's no color in the book. The lettering in certain areas get really interesting. Things get pretty dynamic if he wants to do splashes, and it's really great. Some of his panel layouts, or not more the layouts of how he treats a panel, and sometimes he'll treat a page where the panels are actually read up. I think that only happens once, where they're like swimming on the water, and you don't really notice it. The book, with no dialogue, you swim up as if you're reading the pages up. It's pretty cool. Like I said, I don't think that happens once. There's a couple points where, say, he's seeing like memories and things like that all at the same time, and you get a bunch of crazy things going on at the same time. There's bits where he may be delirious, and as he's walking into a scene, at the same time, like say on the following page, he's now much younger, experiencing a similar scene, and then as that concludes, it tells you something about the previous one where he's now in the same place, and then they jump back, and it's the way it's told is really smart. And I hope I didn't say too much about the story already. Most of the magic of this book I've concealed, so that's great. Like I said, I highly recommend this book. If you're just a casual comic reader and you're interested in some of the books that comics can make that aren't some of the huge popular superhero stuff, this is from Top Shelf. Top Shelf, I've got several books of theirs. Honestly, this is by far the best one. I don't even have to turn around and look. This is the best Top Shelf book I own. I'm trying to... Okay, so if you're just a casual reader for comics and you want to try a different kind of book that's, not a big Marvel DC thing, definitely pick this one up. This is really great. There's a lot of other comics I would recommend too, but this is definitely one I would grab right away. This is a really great book. If you're a teacher and you're thinking about teaching this for a comic class, because this is generally new, and a lot of comic classes, you gotta stay up to date because there's a lot of things happening right now, people doing a lot of crazy things. There's nothing in it that's too crazy to where if you mainly read novels and literature and you're trying to teach a literature class that is comic based, it's nothing too crazy to where you wouldn't be able to figure it out. I've had a comic class once where people kind of baffled me to where they could not understand how to read the basic top to bottom, left to right format of a comic page, and I'm thinking, really? It wasn't that hard, right? And I'm flipping back through the pages like, well, come on, you could figure that out. That wasn't hard. There's nothing like that in this book. It's really, really simple. I mean, if you just tell them top, bottom, left to right, they're not going to get confused at all. Kind of a stupid thing for me to go on a tangent about, but I know there's a lot of people that for some reason can't figure that out. And I think this is a really good start if you want to get into comics. I would not recommend a lot of Marvel and DC stuff that's coming out nowadays. A lot of things from Image, and this book in particular, which is not from Image, I know, ironically, Top Shelf, which Top Shelf does a lot of good things, but like I said, this is just fantastic. If you want to get into comics, this is a really great one. So I don't want to make this video too long because I can't say that much about that book, but I couldn't recommend it enough. And if you have any non-spoiler things to say about the book down at the bottom, other than like, it is awesome, thank you. I don't know. If you have something to add to this, let me know in the comments below. I'm probably forgetting something awesome that I can add to how great this book is just to convince somebody that they should buy it. Or if you got this book just because of my review, which would be amazing, let me know in the comments. I want to hear what you think about it. So that's it for Underwater Welder. I don't want to say too much about it because it's amazing. And I'll see you guys in the next video.